Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. Happy Friday everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. Today I thought to myself, how can I make the best video possible that perfectly explains exactly what is happening through XRP and why I think that this is one of the best long-term holds that you could ever have. I've been a really big XRP fan for the last few months and really over the last year entirely because I do strongly believe in the longevity of this crypto moving forward. It's not very often that you find a cryptocurrency that can maintain a top 10 status for at least 5 years in running, but you guys got to remember that XRP has held that status for 6 years in the top 3. There is no other altcoin out there that has performed nearly as good or consistent as XRP, which is why it's one of my biggest holds heading into this next bull cycle. The people that are holding this cryptocurrency are setting themselves up to make more money than almost the entire rest of the market, and they will be risking the least amount of money to do it. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. If you're also looking for a community, I have a Discord server with over 4,000 members and growing very, very rapidly. So if you guys want to actually get in contact with some more people inside of the cryptocurrency community to talk crypto and share your own analysis and perspective, I highly recommend that you guys check out the Discord. It's totally free for you guys to join. On top of that, I also offer some of my more exclusive content like my video course and signals through my Discord. So if you guys are looking to actually educate yourself on how to become a profitable cryptocurrency analyst and actually do this every single day for yourself, the video course is definitely going to be what's for you. Now, the signals are actually a way for you guys to copy my long-term investments and all of the trades that I'm going to be taking heading into this next cycle. It's a way for you guys to copy my portfolio so that you know exactly what I'm holding, how much I'm holding, and then when I'm actually going to be scaling out. So if this is something that interests you, highly recommend that you guys check out my Discord server by clicking in the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link. Once you guys have access, feel free to shoot me a message and I can get you in contact with all of my exclusive content there on the server. Alright guys, we got a lot of really cool things to talk about today, so let's jump right in this video. So here we are guys, taking a look at this chart that I've made for you. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about today, and one of the things I've been updating you guys with over the last week or so, is just how correlated gold, Bitcoin, and XRP are. Now, I think that this is very important because XRP has been one of the best performing cryptocurrencies since it's been around, and I do strongly believe that it's going to see the bulk increase of value heading into this next institutional adoption wave, and I highly expect that XRP and these high cap coins that have been able to hold that top 5 stance in market cap are going to be the first ones to really see institutional investments. And so by looking at this, I really wanted to go through because this is a fractal I've noticed inside of XRP, and it's the same exact fractal that Bitcoin just recently did before we went from 3,200 to 14,000, and this is also following the gold fractal from $200 to $1,900 per ounce. And so one thing that I want to talk about here is I strongly believe in the longevity of XRP. I do believe that we're going to need to have this bridgeway between the decentralized and the centralized economic systems, and I don't think that all of a sudden they're just going to jump all 100% in on this decentralized movement. I think that banks are going to actually need a little bit of a middleman to get the job done, and I think that XRP perfectly solves that. And so for me, because XRP has maintained a top 3 status in market cap, it's been one of the more consistent altcoins, it's been one of the best returning investments that you could have in the cryptocurrencies. I highly expect that that's going to be something that a lot of people view very attractive, and they're going to put their money in it for that reason. Now, what I've noticed is XRP is severely undervalued compared to the rest of the market. You guys got to remember that in December of 2019, at that new year, a lot of the altcoins impulsed to made a higher high, but XRP actually maintained support, made a lower low, and then actually fell to new lows. And so I think that this one is very shaken out. A lot of people have sold and panic sold. I saw a lot of people that were following this that were bullish the entire way down. Only with this most recent sell-off, they flipped bearish. Now, oftentimes, that is the very tail end of capitulation. Anytime retail starts flipping their bias, saying, I'm going to sell now and then I'm going to rebuy lower, only that lower lower never comes, and then they end up just missing out on a lot of money. And so I wanted to make this video today on a Friday to be able to just kind of connect with you guys, talk about some thoughts and perspectives on the long term with cryptocurrency, specifically XRP, because I've seen a lot of people that are panic selling. I've seen a lot of people that are really scared about what's happening right now. Everybody's expecting that the cryptos are just going to die off, and I highly expect that to be false, and I don't think that that's actually going to be the case. The people that are not listening to what all these outside forces are telling them, the people that are sticking to their trading plan, and the people that are still investing even while the market is down, these are the people that are going to make the most money heading into this next cycle. So let's go through here. First off, we have gold. This is the chart right here. This was the 30-year cycle. Thank God for cryptocurrency, because these are 24/7 markets, and on top of that, they take a lot less time to accumulate than gold did. So this was a 30-year cycle from about 1976 all the way to the early 2000s and the start of that 2000 year. Now, what I've noticed here is that the emotional psychology of the market oftentimes paints these big market cycle fractals, and this is just the emotional psychology of the average retail investor. We can see that we go through this big parabolic run, we top out, this is our first lower high, we sell back down, find our support floor, and then we just kind of chop around here before falling to one more low, and that's really the final accumulation before we actually blast off into new all-time highs. Now, just like gold, Bitcoin was the most recent asset to actually follow this exact fractal. And I thought that this was very interesting because Bitcoin has been deemed digital gold. It's mineable, even though you use computers and not real heavy equipment, it's still mineable and it is still a store of value. And I think that it being a scarce asset, it makes a lot of sense why it behaves similar to the gold fractal. And so if we go through here, we're going to see roughly the same exact correlation. We get a big parabolic run, we get the cycle high, we make our first lower high, sell back down, find our support, and then this is really where we chopped around before making one more low. And then this was where Bitcoin went from 3,200 all the way up to 14K. And so I've really thought that it was super interesting, and this was actually the exact fractal, the gold fractal was the exact thing that I saw happening at Bitcoin when it was worth about $3,400 to $3,500. It was right here where my mouse is. I saw this fractal playing out, and I saw how identical Bitcoin was to gold, and I just knew that we were going to see a big expansion. Now, I didn't think that we were going to see expansion to 14K. I thought it would be a little bit slower, but it was a very big expansion. And this was actually something that happened to gold, where gold expanded from $200 to $1,900, and that was all in just one big move. Whereas Bitcoin, we went to 14K, and then we've actually come all the way back down to some of these lower levels, and we actually wicked to $3,800. But the point being is that both of these cycles followed this, and when they both entered this accumulation, all of these had a very big expansion on the upside, and you would have made a lot of money. Now, this is what takes us to XRP today. XRP today is following this fractal identically. Now, what's interesting to me is XRP isn't necessarily deemed digital gold. It's more of a cross-border payment system. And so I thought it was very interesting that, you know, we had this Bitcoin gold narrative because obviously Bitcoin has been deemed digital gold, but XRP isn't digital gold. And so I thought it was interesting that we are actually following this same fractal, it being a different fundamental coin entirely. There's an entirely different idea behind XRP and Ripple compared to Bitcoin and compared to gold. But what is interesting is this has been one of the best performing cryptos, and so it would actually make a lot of sense why we are following this cycle. Now, let's go through here, and we're going to see roughly the same. Now, the only real difference here is XRP's top went way, way, way higher. This was a very, very parabolic move. And so we can't totally see the exact top, but we're going to see the exact same correlations. First lower high here, we reject, we fall into support, we reject again, fall onto this support. This is really the 30-cent mark. In Bitcoin, this was 6K support. This was probably about $300 per ounce back here on the gold fractal. But we find this support floor, and this is the same common interest between all three of these charts. We find this short-term support, and this is where we start chopping around a lot. We can see that Bitcoin did it at 6K. We chopped around lower highs. This was a descending triangle. This one actually maintained higher highs technically. And then XRP was a little bit more on the downside. But what we can see here is once we do find that support floor, this takes us to the actual part of this accumulation. This is the part that I really want to talk to you guys most about because I think that this is really important. So we go through these phases inside of the market. This would have been phase one, the top. Then phase two is where we find our first short-term support. Phase three is another lower high. Phase four is our secondary support. and then phase 5. And this is kind of what I updated you guys with even in my last video. The same thing can be true amongst all of these. And then we go through the same little rounded formation back onto trending support of the 2 and the 4 before we make one more attempt. This is our failed breakout, and then this is really what takes us to the real accumulation phase before we break out, and then we go into that new all-time high sequence, right? The same can be said with Bitcoin. It's the same pattern. 1, 2, we reject at the 3, come back down, support of the 4, 5, and then we round out in between support of the 2 and the 4, make one more attempt at a breakout, false breakout, we reject, and then this takes us to the accumulation before we broke out and went into the next impulse, right? And this saw Bitcoin going clear up to 14,000, which was like a 3x return. Now, just like XRP, we can see the same similarities here. 3, come back down to the 4, we reject at the 5, and then this is what starts the round, right? We round back down to support of the 2 and the 4. We make one more attempt to break out, failed breakout, and then we reject, and then this takes us to our final accumulation before, yes, you guys guessed it, we actually impulse. And so this is very important for the long term of XRP, because I strongly believe that since we are following it this closely thus far, we're going to see a very strong impulse coming. Now, if gold made this fractal, and gold is one of the best performing assets of all time, Bitcoin paints this exact same fractal. Bitcoin is also one of the best performing assets of all time, and now we're starting to see our beloved XRP doing the exact same market cycle. That tells me that there is a lot of value inside of this project, and there is definitely a lot of people, smart, savvy investors, that are investing in this. Now, I can't speak for institutions, because right now I think that the biggest one and the first one that's going to see the institutional involvement is going to be Bitcoin, but I don't think that these altcoins are far behind. In fact, they're maybe a year behind Bitcoin. We can see that XRP right now is virtually at relatively the bottom point of this fractal. We could still see another drop, but I do believe that we are very close to being at the bottom if we aren't already there right now. Now, what happened in Bitcoin was we saw a big pump, and so if we take it to another chart, now if we actually look at the chart itself, we already knew that we were following this fractal, and so actually this previous market cycle is also an exact example of the gold fractal, or the current fractal that we're seeing now. We just didn't necessarily know it all the way back then. But here, taking a look at XRP today, I think that we're very close to this bottom. We did actually retest all of the 2017 pump that we can see from right here. So we went all the way back down to retest those wicks. And so I strongly believe that the retrace could be over right now, because we have filled out all of this down move that we saw in 2017. Yes, it's possible we could drop down to 6 cents and even down to 3 cents. But in my opinion, that is more bear hopium, and I do not think that that's going to be the likelihood scenario. Now, if we come in here, let's kind of see what we could expect to find heading into this next trend, because this, quite honest, is what I'm expecting to see inside of XRP. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to immediately pump this fast like it did back in 2017, because it might not do that, but we could see something very similar to when the actual pump actually starts. Now, we could see something like we did in 2017, considering the fact that that's the way XRP seems to move. Every impulse happens so quick that there's really no time for accumulation, because that was all of what took place here. All of this choppy action is the accumulation. All of this down market is the accumulation. And when the actual bull move starts, it's going to happen, and it's going to be very quick. And so I would assume that we would behave very similarly to this 2017 move. Now, with that being said, the way that I'm watching it and kind of how I'm expecting it to play out, I do think that we will see $1 by the end of this year. I think the XRP will hit about $1, and that should be a fairly reasonable target to see. So about right here. I think that by the end of this year, we'll be at about $1, and that would actually follow very closely to the Bitcoin pump, if you guys remember. Here we have the Bitcoin pump at 14K. Basically, we fell at this 6K support floor, we chopped around, and then we sold off for one more low, and then this took us into our first big impulse. And so I would actually expect that XRP is going to do something very similar to what Bitcoin did in the last cycle. And so if we come over here, I think that this is going to be very similar. We could drop back down a little bit further like Bitcoin did. We could have a little bit more prolonged correction like this. But overall, I don't think that it changes the long-term bullish stance of XRP. I think that you can look at this and it's pretty easy to tell what is about to happen. Now, during this impulse, I think this first impulse will take us to about $1. we'll have that correction. How that correction looks, I don't know. It could be something like this. It could be something like this. It's just what we're going to have to watch and find out. Now, with gold, we all know what happened with gold after its lows of about right here. We just went straight into new all-time highs. Whereas Bitcoin, it started pumping really quick, but then it had a longer-term correction. And so we're going to have to watch and see what happens with XRP. Could it be more of a 2017 pump like we saw in times past? Will it be more of like a Bitcoin pump from this most recent year where XRP could pump to $1, and then we have a little bit more of a choppy correction before going into the next cycle? Or we could do what gold did and just do breaking straight off into new all-time highs, kind of like this 2017 pump. And so that's what I'm going to be watching out for with XRP. But I do really strongly believe that the long term looks excellent right now. I think that this has been one of the biggest fractals that has really just made me super excited to be a long-term investor in XRP, because the emotional psychology of a market cycle just does not lie. And when you can see a fractal that's playing out amongst two different of the highest best returning assets of all time, only to see your assets starting to do that same thing, it gives you a lot of confidence heading forward into this next cycle. I do strongly believe that XRP is going to be one of the best performing altcoins, and so I wanted to make this video to talk about the fractal. I wanted to go through and actually analyze Bitcoin, gold, and XRP to show you guys how correlated all three of these assets are. And I strongly believe that these three are going to see, and I strongly believe that that XRP is going to see a bulk rise coming very soon, wherever this bottom is. Based off of this gold fractal, I think that this could very easily be the bottom. We already made the low. And then we should start seeing that impulse coming very soon. But we're going to have to watch and see, because right now everything's still kind of up in the air. It is possible entirely that XRP doesn't even follow this fractal. But to be quite honest, I think that that's less likely, because this is a long-term cycle. And I've been accumulating this cycle because I do strongly believe that we will see new all-time highs. And so I'm going to stick to that bias. Now, by looking at XRP, by looking at gold, by looking at Bitcoin, I hope that you guys are all able to see exactly what I'm looking at. I wanted to make this video for all of the people that are feeling a little bit shaken out. I know that there's a lot of people that entered at the top of 2018, bought a bunch of XRP, bought a bunch of Bitcoin, all of these other cryptos, only to see them drop 90% plus in this bear market. And so I know how brutal it can be. I know exactly what you're going through, because you guys got to understand that I've been here. There was a point in my time where I didn't know what I was doing, and I was buying high and I was selling low, and that's just the way things go. But honestly, as long as you're not selling, as long as you're not taking that loss, as long as you focus on the long-term prospect, you will still make a significant return on your investment, even if you bought the very top at $3.80 inside of XRP. I do strongly believe that the people investing right now that aren't listening to all of the fear, that aren't listening to all of these crazy bearish targets, I think that these are going to be the people that make the most amount of money heading into this next cycle, because they're not allowing fear to manipulate their trading decisions. I know a lot of people that are doing that right now. I can see it inside of my Discord server. A lot of people are mad at me, showing angry tweets, showing angry messages on my Discord, and angry comments on YouTube. But that's to what's be expected when the market is tanking everywhere around you. So people are going to be mad. We've got to remember that the people that are mad, the people that are projecting that negativity onto me, are the people that probably sold the bottom, and are really just feeling angry about the fact that they watched the entire market rebound as soon as they sold in panic. And so, you know, guys, stick to the long-term approach. Look out, zoom out on your charts. It's not hard to tell what's going on. I've been very adamant about us seeing new all-time highs and having a new bull run. I quite honestly just do not see all of this pandemic fear as a catalyst to just nuke all of these plans. I think that Bitcoin will perform well in the wake of all of this global uncertainty, and all of these other cryptocurrencies will see the same fate. Now, even with XRP being more of a banker's coin, or what people like to deem a banker's coin, XRP, I strongly believe, is going to be one of the cryptos that are going to be used. It's going to be one of the first cryptos to see institutional adoption, because it's been one of the best performing cryptos. It's got the best track record. It's more consistent than any of the other ones, and so it's not as risky when it comes to actually investing for these institutions to put their money in. And so I think that the people that are investing in this one are going to make a lot of money, and the fact that we're actually seeing such amazing correlations between all three of these cycles makes me very confident in the longevity of all of my investments moving forward, but specifically with XRP. Anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you found any value in this, always remember to do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel. Make sure you guys click in the description of this video to join my Discord server. I offer some of my my more exclusive content like my video course and Signal. So if you guys want access to some of that, highly recommend that you guys check out the server. But with all that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.